All right. Welcome, everybody. All right. Well, today is our new ambassador coaching. So if you're new, welcome. We're so glad you're part of our call tonight. I'm actually going to move this to speaker view for the recording. And if you're just jumping on, we're asking everyone to chime in the chat where you're tuning in from. If you're brandy new and this is your first call, or even if it's not your first call, tell us in the chat a little bit about you and what you're excited about. And if you have a burning hot question that you want answered tonight, we want to address those things on tonight's call. So pop it in the chat so we can be aware of what is, you know, interesting you and or causing you some distress or stress in your business. We want to chat through that if that's something that would be helpful, or any questions also. All righty, we do have quite a lineup of folks that are wanting to get coached tonight. I'm actually going to scooch this back to gallery view. Carissa, am I coaching first or are you?
I do not have a preference. So I know we have Darcy, April, and Deidre from my team. And I remember you mentioned Lissa, which I see her on here, and Anna. So do we want to just, hey, what if we say who would like to go first?
Love it.
Who's eager to go first?
I can if nobody else wants to volunteer.
All right. You are the first volunteer. Hello again.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah. So Anna was coached not too long ago, but that's great.
Probably it was almost a year ago, I feel like.
Oh,
It's been a
really?
while. Yeah.
Gosh, it does not feel that long.
Maybe half a year. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's
it
been
was last year in 2024.
definitely.
Okay, well, you've been rocking and rolling. I know because you're active in the accountability thread. So let me just plug that for everyone else on here. If you're not a part of it and you want to be, we have an accountability thread that's really hopping. Like we give action ideas in there every single day. And if you are in that place where you're in heavy activity and you will not be overwhelmed by lots of ideas and lots of chatter, you are welcome to jump in that thread. So I kind of have a pretty good pulse on where you're at. I've seen your updates. But what do you feel like? Well, let me ask you this. What is keeping you from getting out there and finding business partners? Let's just jump right into that.
That's a very good question. Maybe I don't ask enough. That's maybe a possibility. I was telling Megan, I have no problem reaching out to people when I see that they, like the pain point, right? So, um, they're posting about their job woes or their income woes or all that kind of thing, and I have no problem reaching out to those. And
Great.
also on the other side, like with products, I have no problem reaching out to people when I see that they have pain points. But just the random people I am reaching out to, but I definitely feel that I drag my feet more because I don't know, I hesitate a little bit with that.
Yeah.
I think that
Oh,
that's probably a big like hurdle I need to get over, speed bump. And then also another thing, that with like 5 small kids that you have at home all day, um, like making sure there's designated um non-kid time to have yourself focused because you could have like ADHD and then you have 5 kids being like so not having the designated time slot to working
mhm.
in the nooks and crannies I think is okay for some things, but not having that designated time I think affects me. I like the
Okay.
power hours that are sometimes available because if I can plug into that without kids I can get some stuff
Mhm.
done, like focused.
Good. Do you find that when you do have, like, let's say you've got some quiet time and you've got a power hour to work through, do you find anything that holds you back when you actually have that protected time? Like when you look at a winning day checklist and it says, warm up your algorithm, comment on some people's posts. Okay, now reach out to some people that you want to work the business with. Do you find it completely doable?
I think I do that better when I have the power
Good.
hour. I'm great at the working the algorithm, and I even send messages to my family members. I'm like, okay, I'm working my algorithm. Help me, move this along and get some attention. And that part I'm okay with, but it's the private messages to people I find myself dragging. The
Oh,
power hour
okay.
help. But
Okay.
it's not, I still not perfect there. It's a confidence thing, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to get at is I think a lot of the time we point the finger at our time management skills. But the truth is, even when we have like a whole day before us, we find a way to put off the high impact IPAs, income producing activities, for those who are new on here. That's really common. And so if you're finding that to be the case, then it's a good signal that time is not your issue. Now,
Okay.
now, let me say, time is an issue, and attention is an extremely important commodity that it's precious. So I'm a big advocate of organizing your time well, and I'm a big advocate of setting yourself up for, successful work. So I'm not discounting it at all, but I want to get to the heart of the matter because sometimes, and this happens to me too, so you sit down with a stretch of time before you, and yet those highest impact things we can do, those high impact asks,
We avoid.
it's like we've got the time and they don't get done. And so we have to address that first. So like, what do you think? It sounds like, first of all, I want to celebrate because I think you've already overcome a lot. And like, just to say, I have no problem reaching out when I know their pain points is like a big win. I really want you to celebrate that because there are plenty of people on here who don't feel that they've overcome that yet. So, I mean, I really think you're doing great, but we've got to get to the heart of that. So, what do you think would help you get into a frame of mind where you have more confidence to do those high impact reach outs? What does help you? What gives you more confidence?
I'm not 100% sure, and I think maybe that's my, block. But I know Jessica Heffley talks about fear, and right, that's the thing, and just doing the scary thing, whether it's scary or not. And like you say, they're not paying the bills.
Hmm.
And what do you have to lose? I think those are all things that I'm trying to tell myself, but I'm not quite there yet, and I'm not sure how to get there.
Okay, good. So yeah, how you're talking to yourself, you're paying attention to that and trying to make sure you're speaking life over yourself. And that's important. For me, and maybe you do this, do you try to have something in your ear really often? As
I
far as
do if I can, if I have the availability where I'm not like hitting pause every 30 seconds because the
yeah.
kids then I do.
Yeah.
Um
Well, it can be a simple strategy. So let's say you've got a 20-minute window that's protected and you're trying to maximize that time with the highest impact actions you can take. I think it's very valid to take the first 3 or 4 minutes and watch a diamond documentary or watch a Star Diamonds Rising, YouTube video, that kind of thing. Like take the minute to get your mind right before.
that's a good idea because I do watch those sometimes, but then sometimes I feel like if I only have a really short amount of time that maybe that's wasting time. But
Mhm.
maybe you're right. That's a good idea.
Totally. I mean, like you're a high action person from every indicator I have seen, but our actions can be way more impactful if we're approaching them with the right energy. Like a high level of energy and belief can make like 2 messages more effective than 20. It really
Okay.
can. And I'm a big believer in massive action, but massive action fueled by a certain kind of energy, even a little bit of action fueled by a certain kind of energy can be way more powerful. So yeah, like whatever, pay attention to any time you've ever been like, oh my gosh, I'm so fired up. I'm going to go reach out to that person that I
Yeah.
have been so intimidated. What was it that put you in that place? Because you can put yourself in that place as needed. So pay attention to that. Who fires you up? I shared this in our accountability thread, Ed Milet. And I don't know if
Yes.
you've listened to that one yet, but that
I
one,
have not. Yes.
okay. That one really fired me up. And I'm the same. I've got to do it in chunks. It's like 5-10 minute chunks, and that's okay. But those little shots in the arm, I also love listening to Jordan Roddenberry, Brooke Hemingway, Emily Gibson, Brittany Howard. So,
Yeah.
pay attention to who really fires you up and just kind of give yourself those little shots in the arm. You said, okay, dragging feet a little bit more on the randoms. I feel like this is kind of the antidote to that, as far as like, you have your dream team list that you're praying over, and you look at it and you're like, okay, is it time? Is it time to reach out to that person? Yes, it's time. But you can take the time to get your mind right, and it is worth it. Totally. Your intentional time dilemma, though, here's a little tip. It helps me a lot to create things that make me look forward to my work. So I don't know what that would be for you. And well, what does it look like? Walk me through it right now. So is it all nooks and crannies? Is there any protected time to work your business?
Um, like I said, power hours, I really try to hit those. Team calls, I try to hit those. Most of the opportunity, 15 minutes or the product. I try to hit all of those. Not always do I get them, but I really try to. And for me, hitting them live makes a difference because I'm less likely to go back and hear the replay.
Yes.
That
Self-awareness.
those happen at bedtime for us. And if I could just like sit with the baby and kind of, I can do that. But carving out like where there's no team involvement and it's just me sitting down and doing my stuff. Like I said, I'm good on the socials, like interacting with people and even sending messages, checking in with people like socially. I'm good like that. But I don't know, carving out that time where I have maybe say to my husband, okay, can you just take the kids for a drive for 30 minutes or, whatever, or just close myself in the kitchen with a cup of tea. And I've done it a few times, but it's just not been scheduled. I think if it's scheduled in, just like he has his scheduled work time, if I have my scheduled work time and it's just everybody expects me to be working at that time, then I think it's more likely to happen, and I'll be more accountable to it. If everybody,
Yes.
if everybody else is on board with it. If it's just like, oh, hey guys, in 5 minutes, I'm going to do this.
Yes.
I think there's more of a chance that it would be skipped.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I think as moms, it's much more likely for our stuff to be treated as negotiable and to be, droppable.
Yeah.
And so, for all of us, whether you're a mom or not, but for everyone on this call, I do want to encourage everybody to start keeping promises to ourselves. And, whether that's your workout, your 20-minute workout, or the healthy meal you're going to make yourself, or the time you're going to put into your business. I understand that like we have to be adaptable, and it's kind of built into the job description a little bit as moms, but it is possible. It is possible for you to have certain non-negotiables as far as the things you say you're going to get done. And I hope it sounds like your husband understands that and would be supportive. And is it a little more you than him? Like if you were to say, okay, today I am going to have a 40-minute protected work hour. I'm going to work through the winning day checklist. I'm going to do it by myself. I don't need my team to give me a time. I'm going to do it. Can you help me honor that promise to myself? Would he be supportive?
Automatically. Yeah.
Okay.
He would
I'm
just,
so
he would
glad.
jump on it. So it's not on him. It's definitely on me, like not asking for that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I encourage you to. I encourage you to. And I really do get it. I've sometimes lamented that it feels like everything that sort of I feel like I need to do just gets like dropped, when the surprises happen and the interruptions happen. And of course they do. But I encourage you to bring him in on that, ask him for that, and phrase it like that and just say, this is something that this is kind of the next little step for me. Because I can hear that you're saying, you're totally able to show up for the group work. You're totally able to show up when somebody puts it on your calendar, but you have not yet made that powerful decision. Like, I'm going to put work on my calendar. Because here's the thing, like you're wanting to grow a big team. And so you can't wait around for everybody to give you the assignments.
Right.
This has got to be your thing that you're building. And if, bonus, if other people want to show up and work together, great. But like, you're going to build this thing come hell or high water, with or without the sidelines, with or without people telling you when to work. So I think this is kind of the next little thing for you that you have to unlock.
So what's your suggestion for time allotment? Is it like an hour a day? What would you suggest?
Oh,
for me
it's
to work on?
totally going to depend on your personality. Like Megan is like the nooks and crannies queen, and she seems to thrive even when being interrupted. Like Megan, you're probably laughing at me, but I am not that way at all. And I operate much better when I can like really fully focus. And so I have a couple of really focused days, and then I have a couple of buffer days where I can get a lot more like nook and cranny responsive type things done. And then I have a couple rest days built into my week. And I design it to where I really look forward to my focus days. I go out to breakfast, I like, I love it. And it has really been one of my biggest wins of 2024 is that I have so many more enjoyable work days because I have set myself up to like love those days. But I know that's not been my life for very long. So for
Right.
most of my building to Emerald, Sapphire, and Diamond, it was like, okay, the kids are napping at this time or they go to bed at this time. And, you really have to focus on what's the most powerful, high impact action, and then let the other stuff happen in the nooks and crannies. So for everyone on the call, I'll just restate this. It's the most powerful action we can get. It's so easy to get sucked into just like engaging and relationship building and oops, I'm just scrolling. Now I'm just looking at reels. But the most powerful actions are starting plexus conversations and really it's the actual the talking to someone like either on the phone or in person, like getting on a calendar, getting in front of someone, or it could be a voice message or a video message, but that's going to be the most high impact. And I encouraged everybody on our call last week to write down the names of people you think would be amazing at this business. Because signing customers is wonderful and everybody needs change in their health. But if you plant brand ambassadors far and wide, you'll impact so many more people's health and you will grow a large team that way. So our top priority is how do I find people who want this like I want it? How do I find people to link arms with me? Or you might help, the analogy of the canoe is really helpful. Like I'm not just trying to fill my canoe with passengers. I'm trying to put people in the canoe who will row with me. And so we're doing a lot of asking people to share and asking people to post and who's your +1, all that good stuff. So sorry, I know you already know that, Anna, but yeah, just, but yeah, like, when you say to your husband, help me honor my protected work hour today, you're going to prioritize those highest impact things. And then you're going to save the responses or the little, ooh, I need to reach out to that person. I'll do it real quick. That can be a nook and cranny thing. But I find that at least I would say like those 40-minute windows that allow you to just kind of like get in the zone a little bit, super helpful. And I like to group it up. Like if I'm going to do all my follow-ups for my whole list, I like to kind of do the same type of activity. If I'm going to start new conversations, I might do a bunch of those or do a bunch of follow-ups with existing people. I'll do a bunch of those or a bunch of customer care. That helps me. But again, everybody's kind of got to find what works best for them.
That makes sense to me. Probably like I kind of get into the zone or like you just kind of get a little momentum with what you're doing instead of jumping.
100%. Yeah, because when we chop up our attention, we are so much less efficient.
That's my problem. And throw in the kids that also have like attention stuff, and it's like I feel like it's like bouncing everywhere and it's not effective
Nope.
for any of us, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I just have to read this comment. So Deidre commented, I've been not rowing our canoe for 10 years. And she wrote it just to me, but I shared it with everyone. Sorry, Deidre. But no, I'm celebrating that because she's been a customer on our team for 10 years and she's decided she's going to start rowing the canoe this month. So I think that's super sweet and fun. Okay, Anna, we're going to try to blitz through a lot of people tonight. So
That's good.
thanks for sharing. Thanks for kicking it off.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, how about Darcy next? Are
Okay.
you on? Yay.
Hey, Darcy.
Hey, how are you?
I see you. Great. All
Let me
right.
get to a better spot of light here.
Okay. Yeah, my lighting is weird in here tonight. Sorry, guys. I feel like I'm blinding everybody with that light. I don't know how to turn my. Maybe I can.
Yeah, I know. Me too. And I'm trying to cook dinner at the same time. So I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about you and what you're excited about. If you have a topic
Um,
or a question, we want to hear that too.
okay. I am let's see, I've been a brand ambassador for about 4 months, I think. Coming up on 4 months. I'm senior silver right now. I'm pushing for gold really hard this month. I just signed up my second brand ambassador who has just went silver this week. So I'm really, really trying to pour into my team this month. And try to I've got one other gal that I'm trying to get as a brand ambassador. She's a great friend of mine, and I've been dripping on her for the last couple of months, and she was finally able to get on a couple of the she got on an opportunity call and she got on a product call last week, and she actually just let me make her cart today. And so I'm really super excited because she has the same passion and the same personality as myself. I just think she would be fabulous to grow with. And I have told her that, and I told her, I was like, you can ignore me, but I'm not going away. Like, I really want to do this with you. So, I'm really trying hard this month, I guess you could say, is taking a little bit more assertion than I have prior to.
Mhm.
And within the last week, I've also kind of like Anna, I've struggled with time management. So last week, my husband and I sat down and we came up with a plan because I also work full time. So I don't get home. I work 8 to 5 or 7:30 to 5. So I don't get home until 5:30, and there's not a lot of time left with him. So I'm trying to make sure that I have sectioned out a little bit of Plexus time and a little bit of husband time. So we did that last week. It was really nice. There was a couple of days, our schedule's really crazy during the week, but there was a couple of days where it was just 30 minutes when I got home from work. There's a couple of nights where he's gone where I can work Plexus all night. So I do that until he gets home at like 8, and then I shut it down. My weekends, I do a little bit more in the morning. And so I've tried to really set out time frames for it. But I also, like Anna, struggle with some of the cold messaging. And I think that is fear also. Fear of they're going to go, I haven't talked to this girl in like 2 years, and all of a sudden she's throwing her business down my throat. And I don't want people to do that with me. In fact, I had a little team building roundtable, is what I call it, just kind of brainstorming, sitting around with a couple other team members. I think they're on this phone call too. Yesterday at a coffee shop. And one thing that we did is we just went through our stories and found 3 people that we had not contacted before or in a long time, and just commented on their stories just to start that conversation flow. get him in our messages, get ourselves out there a little bit more. And we all three picked 3 people and we did it sitting there at the table. And it's little things like that that I'm trying to do because I feel like I feel like I know a lot of people, but I don't know who all to reach out to. So that's kind of maybe my hang up. I don't know. I'm rambling on now. Sorry.
No, I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing all that. I hope you guys are all taking notes. What she's sharing is absolutely gold. So, what exactly are you worried about? Like if you cold message someone, and I think can you define what you mean by cold message? Is that just contacting someone that contact you first?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
And it may be like there's I've done it on a couple of people that watch my stories.
Mhm.
And I don't want to be like a creeper, like this girl, you know, I don't want to be that. So I let her watch them a couple of times. And then I was like, hey girl, I saw your name scroll across my screen the other day and I just wanted to say hi, whatever. I don't even remember what I said. It's been a while ago. But turns out she is already doing Plexus. And so I told her, I said, well, that's awesome. You know, congratulated her. And I said, if you ever have any questions or want to brainstorm anything, you know, reach out to me. And left it at that. She still watches my stories all the time. I don't see anything posting from her. I have no idea what team she's on. And so I don't even know if that's real or not, but we'll see.
So,
But
so when you're reaching out, like you're cold messaging, are you reaching out specifically about Plexus or you're just striking up conversations with people that you're worried about them?
both.
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm pretty good at the social. I've worked in retail for 23 years, so I'm pretty good at the people side of it.
Mhm.
I can fake excitement pretty well too. So I mean, that's just part of being customer service. But so it's more the Plexus part. I think the cold
Okay.
messaging about Plexus, not so much as just interaction with people.
Okay. So what are you worried about? Like what is the concern?
Well, what they'll think of me, or that maybe it's that they'll say no.
Okay.
That's
What
what it is.
happens if they say no?
Nothing. I just move on.
What kind of feeling pops up for you?
A little bit of discouragement. Depending, I had one lady that was kind of rude to me one time, and so I feel like that people could not be nice sometimes. So I feel like that is a deep fear for me, but I've had a lot of rejection in my life and I've had a lot of rude people in my life, so I don't know why I hang on to that fear, but I do.
Mhm. Where do you feel it in your body, like that discouragement or the feeling, the rejection?
Here.
Okay. I think that identifying what feeling it brings up for you and then where it kind of like settles in your body
hmm
can just bring awareness. Like it can bring awareness so that it's almost like if you almost pre-plan the thought or the feeling that you might have
hmm
if someone says this, like it's basically, well, it really is expectations. Because what is your expectation? That everyone says
Yeah.
yes 100% of the time, and no one is ever,
Right.
and 1,000% of the people want to do this with you from the first ask that you send, right? So much of this is
Right.
expectations. I was just talking, we had a call earlier today, and after the call, I was chatting with someone about unmet expectations and how that can create feelings for us, right? Especially, and I mean, I think about it in my life too. I'm like, well, I expect my kids to always obey, to never, to never disobey. I expect, like I expect my marriage to always be perfect for us all, never to have any disagreements. And I'm like,
hmm
well, that sets us up for lots of emotions. That is always our expectation, right? Um,
Yeah.
mm, what would be some alternative thoughts? Because you've said a couple of things. I'll quote you. your fear of throwing the business down their throat. I don't want to be a
Mhm.
creeper. So if those are the stories that you are telling yourself, like, is that actually speaking blessing over those messages, or you're
Yeah.
assuming, right? We're kind of assuming that that's what they're going to say. In reality, is that really, for a fact that that would be the assumption of people that you reach out to?
No. And I know that I can find people that really need it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking with one of my or my little sister, who's my new brand ambassador with Silver. She was actually going to get on this call tonight, but she is pouring into another lady that she's getting ready to sign up, and who needs the community more than the product.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told her, I said, just kind of some of the backstory is of a lot of these women that started for the products, but they stay for the community. And it's so good for so many people. And I know that. And that's one of the reasons I've been pouring into one of my ladies so much, because the community, she's a single mom. Like, it's just, I know that this would just be so good for her. And maybe I need to look at it more like that.
Because who are you wanting to help? Like, are you wanting to help
everyone.
Are you wanting to help someone that doesn't want your help?
Right. No.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that sometimes we've got to normalize the fact that we're not going to hear back from everybody, and that doesn't
Right.
mean anything about us. It may not just mean the right timing. They got busy. They forgot to reply. Who knows? We don't know. It is a
And I've
filtering process.
I've already had plenty of that. So I don't know what my hang up is there.
If you
It's up here. It's up here.
Well, it is so much mindset, right?
Yeah.
If you expect the no's, does that make it easier? If you expect
Yes.
it, or if
Yes.
you want, like, my goal is to get them to tell me yes or no. Like, because I want to know where they're at. I feel like it's really helpful, because I don't want to keep messaging someone or keep chitter chattering with them
I
if
love
they
that.
are just truly not interested. Like,
Yeah,
it
I love
helps
that.
me to know, like, okay, we're just gonna keep it at friendship basis,
Mhm.
what's going on in their life,
Mhm.
and they may come around. And so I think that we can make the powerful decision to believe a different thought, instead of assuming that they're going to think that we're shoving the business down their throat. What if they have been praying? What if they have been praying for a business opportunity? Oh, like me, like we were.
Mm.
Alexis, you are that person that was brave and made that brave, powerful decision during your lunch hour, or during your, plexus time while your hubby's at work or whatever in the evenings, because they popped in your mind. Maybe it was a supernatural divine intervention. You never know, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I think our brains try to protect us. And so and we don't have to, like, try to be negative. We don't have to try, to conjure up those thoughts, but we do have to battle against them, because we need to consider that there is another perspective. We could entertain other thoughts that often will give us different results, because we're more brave when we're thinking, instead of, are they going to think I'm shoving this down their throat? Versus, hey, she's been watching my stories. She's watched them all the way through. So she heard my entire story. Maybe you went live business in your stories or something. And then I feel like it's safe to assume that she's at least open to conversation, and I think that's the thing, is we're not asking for it's not like speed dating. We're like trying to get on the first date, but where we are just finding out if they're open to learn more, because it's been such a blessing, products or the business or both,
Yeah. I think I need to use that phrase more, open to. Like, are you open to hear more? I don't think I use that phrase enough.
Yes. Are you open to hearing more? And I think from our perspectives, to learn, to find out if they're open to learning more. Like, that's our job right now, is to, like, figure out who are the ones that are open.
Right.
Why don't we think about an alternative thought to consider? Because are you actually a creeper?
No.
What are you? You.
I'm a hope dealer. That's what I tell people.
There you go. You have to combat that. You have to combat that anytime that little thought creeps back in your brain. It's like,
hmm
replace that, Hey, maybe some people, whatever, who cares if they think you're a creeper? You're not, because you're not. And also you are helping people. You're serving people. You're loving people. And you're doing the brave thing that most people aren't willing to do, because you're willing to do the work on yourself to continue to move forward. Okay, and then let's think of something alternatively to, I don't want them to think that I'm just shoving my business down their throat. What's another, in your own words?
Oh, she's just trying to sell me something.
Okay,
That's another
a reoccurring
dumb
thought.
thought. Yeah, dumb thought that I have in my head.
I had that same fear. I had that same fear when I started. Let's think of an alternative thought from the shoving the business down her throat and the, oh, she's gonna think I'm just trying to sell her something. Let's think of something alternatively to combat those thoughts. What comes to mind?
She thinks that this would help me. Maybe she thinks that they would think that I care about them, really. I mean, when you think about it, if I'm trying to give them something that's made my life amazing and changed things around for me, maybe she would be honored that I thought of her.
Bingo. It's right there. Yeah. See how that, then what kind of feelings do those bring up for you as you're like reformulating?
Beaming.
What's that?
As I beam when I say that.
Yeah. And I think we
Yeah.
show up differently when we're operating from those thoughts, when we're reaching out to people also. There's some good bits in the chat, or there in the chat too. You can look through. I'll just share really quick. I had the same thought. I had, on one hand, I was fearful people were going to think I was selling them something, which I am, and there's nothing wrong with that, because the world runs off of business, right?
Right.
Same, like in my very fresh new, perspective, I was not used, I don't know, I was an entrepreneur prior to Plexus, but this felt a little different, right? And so I just entertained the thought that people were going to come back and thank me for sharing with them because it changed their life. And that was
people have thanked me.
See?
People have thanked me.
And so that was the thought that I
remember that
chose to operate from, because on one hand, I mean, that there was that little inkling in the back of my mind, but the other voice was louder. I allowed it to be louder because it served everyone better. I mean, who is it going to serve to just cower in a corner because we're stinking scared of rejection or what people are going to think or say about us? And I think if we know why we're doing what we're doing, even if they say something goofy, or even if someone does treat us rude, who knows? Maybe they had a horrible day. I don't know. It doesn't have to mean anything about us,
Right.
I can tell that you're going to do so well with this, and I know you're going to go gold. Hey, work on going gold by the end of this month, because you can attend the virtual gold school training. Anyone on this call, don't forget about that. So
that's what I'm going for. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, that would be a great goal to work towards. Yeah. Okay. So I think you've just flip the lid off of anything that was holding you back. So now you're going to practice operating from spots, and you're going to see your team blossom like crazy.
And April is on my team.
Sweet. Oh, fun. So sweet.
And I am so proud of her. I am so proud of her. Thank you, Megan, so much. Thank you so much.
All righty. We have Lissa. Is Lissa still on?
Yes, I see her.
Okay. Can you pop? Let's see. Is her camera on? Unmute. I know sometimes learning to navigate Zoom when you're new is tricky.
So, Lissa, do you know how to unmute? She's working on it, I think.
Sometimes from a phone it's tricky, like tap your screen, then it'll like pop up. You have to kind of hit it fast. The little microphone.
No worries, girl. You're figuring it out. Can I say one other thing about the conversation with Darcy?
Yeah, sure.
So I just really resonated with a lot of it because, sometimes I start a conversation and I'm prepared
Okay.
for either scenario. Oh, there she is. Okay, I'll make this quick.
No, you're good.
For either scenario, like I'm prepared for them to be friendly or even open or receptive, and I'm prepared for them to, be closed off or even rude. And so, that helps to temper the expectations. But sometimes somebody surprises me and I think they're going to be friendly and open and they're snippy or they're rude, and that still gets to me, Darcy. Like even now, Diamond, sometimes, and I don't feel it right here. I feel it like the redness just rushes to my face and I'm like, oh my word. But I just think it's important for all of us to understand that like it's okay for people to be wrong about us. And they are. If they are offended by us starting a conversation to share a wonderful product with them or an amazing business with them, if they're offended by that, then they're wrong about us and they're wrong about our intentions. And it's okay for somebody to be wrong about you at first. And I think sometimes we immediately hear their snippy response and we're like, we just take it as truth. And so for me, it helps to pause, it helps to breathe and be like, oh, she's wrong about me. Hey, I get it. She doesn't know me very well. She's hurting. Who knows what her need is at this point, but hurting people can pop off sometimes. And even some of the Diamonds I know were really rude to their sponsor at first. So I would like to just challenge all of us to be grace givers and be brave enough to be someone's punching bag at first. Like, hopefully it's not that bad, but I've had it happen before, right? And like, I have just decided that I'm okay with putting myself out there and I'm okay with taking a beating every now and then from somebody who doesn't know me yet or doesn't know Plexus yet and doesn't know how bad they need it yet. And I can just immediately remind myself that they're wrong about me and the time may come that they figure it out, or it may not, but I've found that to be really helpful. And just to remind myself that I'm okay with putting myself out there for the sake of others, even if it means I get misunderstood. And I love that Hannah pointed out in the comments, how many people have been nice. Like that one snippy or offended person can just overshadow, but we have to kind of repeat like, oh, but that person was so sweet. And that person, or that person said nothing, at least it was neutral. Okay.
And we can't hang on to it. We have to brush it off. That was another thing that I was struggling with, was hanging on to those bad feelings and that rejection. And it's got to be just, okay, well, next kind of thing. And
I've done the same thing. I invited a girl I thought was so sweet to an event, and I never would have in a million years thought she would come back the way she did. And like, even though I was like, okay, move on, it was still nagging at me for that day and the next day. So I did have to take a little time with it and be like, okay, why is this bothering me? And then get to the root and eventually be like, you know what? She's wrong about me. Okay. She'll figure it out. I will keep proving her wrong. Now I can move on. I had to kind of dig into it a little bit, but totally.
Hey, I'll just add too, if you ever have a rejection message back and you're not sure how to respond, like that's what we're here to help with also. I know, I had help like even just a couple of years ago with someone that was close to me that I had recently met. She has a huge Instagram following, all the things. And so I had approached her multiple times about the business opportunity. And she was just like a really, really gracious, kind, no, thank you. Every time I asked her. But I got stuck because I was like, what do I say? Like, I don't want it to make it awkward because I see her in person weekly. And so Jordan had the best comeback. She's like, just tell her, she goes, this is how I respond with someone like that. as I say, hey, if you're ever interested in network marketing, I would love to be the first one to share Plexus, to share my opportunity with you. Would you be willing if that was ever, if that ever comes back up? And then she said, shoot me your address and I'll pop some samples in the mail. So I just loved how she kind of graciously threw a little bow around it. And I didn't feel weird. Hopefully my friend didn't feel weird. And then we just have, continued a relationship. So just a little mention too, if any of you guys get stuck in conversations like, oh, what do I say back? That's what we're here to help with too.
Yeah. Okay, Lisa, you ready?
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
it's been a while since I've done any Zoom and the format is completely different. And I was like, why is this not working?
Well, yay for being back on Zoom. Thanks for being with us
It's been a
tonight.
long time.
Well, how's your business going?
I guess pretty good. Like I said, a lot of what you guys talked with the last two girls is exactly kind of some of the same stuff that I would probably struggle with. I'm not necessarily, I like to talk to people just in person. I'm not a cold call or message sender. It's just not, I've done some network marketing in the past, and I think it kind of burnt you a little on that, or I don't want to feel like I'm sending the same message out all the time, or I would rather it just become more like organic and natural, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people. I'm a hairdresser, so I get a lot in my chair. So the conversations I'm having are more like actual in-person conversations, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and
actually,
I'm a self-sabotage person, because if it starts to get too much work, then I'm like, I don't have time
yeah.
for
Oh, okay.
this sort of thing. Because yeah,
Okay, well,
so
that's
that's
helpful.
kind of where I'm at too.
No,
So
these are good things to bring up, and I'm sure you're not alone. And I'm glad to hear that what we've discussed so far applied to you.
Yeah.
So, well, first of all, I will commend you. I do not think it's good to get into sending out generic messages.
mhm.
I think that you can still do a lot of action with personal communications. So
Mhm.
I say amen to that.
Yeah.
I think, I try to keep a list of who do I think could just be an awesome business partner? Who would I love to work with? Who would I love to travel with on all these Plexus trips? Who would bless a lot of lives? I try to have a list of those names. And then I also try to keep a list of people I know their health pain points, people that have been engaging on my posts, people that have been watching my stories. I may not know whether they'd be great at the business, but they for sure are a prospect for the products. But when I'm reaching out to them, it is 100% going to be personal. It's not going to be a copy paste message. So
Right.
I'm sure everybody knows I agree with that.
Okay.
But okay, but let's talk about the self-sabotage a little bit. So I had an interesting thought the other day. It was an analogy. I was thinking about the word growth, and I was thinking about the way gardens grow and the way plants grow. And I had this image of, I really relate with you. It's like I have this fear of growth getting out of control. And then, oh no, I woke up one day and the tomato plant was so far gone that I'm like, forget it. I'm not going to deal with it. It just went crazy. And so I'm just going to throw in the towel. And so, but then I thought, well, that's not how I want to feel about my business. So let me keep thinking about this a little bit. And then I realized that, we want growth. That's a good thing. And we want a lot of growth, but we want the growth to be managed, right? We want to make sure that we're managing it. And so, we do a little bit every day. We make sure that, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like an apple tree, how people can like get it to grow in a certain way and make sure that, so I don't know, I kind of ran with that whole analogy because I thought, well, the way I want to feel about my business is I want to see growth. I want to see lots of growth, but I want to manage it well. And the way that makes sense in my brain is to pay attention day by day and just, oh, look, this little thing, now that that's happening, I need to make sure I've got a system for that. So what's happening for you? When have you felt that way? Like feeling like, oh no, I feel like this is kind of getting too much work. Is that what you said? This is getting to be too much
Yeah.
work. Okay.
Yes.
When have you felt that way?
Or I don't even know how to, I guess when I started it, say I just liked the product and then it was more of a, oh, if I can get a little bit of this paid for, but then you can't help but to talk about it because it does, I mean, feels, but it's the little things of like when I see then the posts of, oh, she's gone silver, or whatever. I'm like, ooh, like I don't have time, or like, can you do this without having? I don't want to have to micromanage
Mhm.
people
Yep.
or do graphics or do,
Yeah.
like that's not necessarily what I want to do. Or like, can you do this without having to do that? Or is it kind of like, oh, should I not even build a team because I don't want to be not a good leader if I do it, I guess.
Interesting. Okay,
Does
I
that
love
make sense?
yeah.
Okay.
And I love that you're sharing all of this. Let's get it out in the open because I think it's good to ask questions like, can I do a good job at this without doing it that way? Can I do a good job at this even if it doesn't look like that? And I would just challenge you to always answer that with yes, and then ask yourself, how can I do it? How can I be good at this even if I don't want to learn how to make graphics? You know, if you start just with the assumption that this is
Okay.
figure outable and this can be done by someone like me who has the interests I have and the skills I have, it can be done. I just need to figure that out. And then I think that that will help you a lot because yeah, I don't like making graphics, for example.
Mhm.
But it'd be very easy just to be like, well, maybe I shouldn't even try. And your brain is going to hear that and go, yes, bingo, girl, go eat a
Mhm.
sandwich. Because that's way easier and way less scary to just sit on the couch. So your brain is going to jump on that real quick. So my challenge would just be flip the question around a little bit like, okay, not sure I'm down for that, but how can I be good at this business in my own way with my own gifts and my own skills? So what I heard you say, for example, is that you are really good at the in-person conversations. You're
Mhm.
really sharing, you're talking, you talk about it in the chair. That's awesome. And you
Mhm.
said, I don't really like sending generic messages. But again, don't let your brain say, if I'm not willing to do that, I probably can't be good at this. Don't let your brain do that. Instead, flip it a little bit to, okay, well, if I know I don't want to be generic or inauthentic, how can I find my next, let's see, are you silver?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the next rank is senior silver, which is about 9 people. And, you're kind of like, well, I don't know if that I want a whole business or a whole team necessarily, but, it'd be great to keep sharing. It'd be great to earn the next income checkpoint. So how am I going to find those next 6 people without sending generic messages and without making graphics? And your brain will be like, well, what if you try this? Well, what if you try this? And you'll start to have more ideas. So what have you done? Look, what have you been doing to find your first 3 people?
Basically just talking to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, a couple of mine are actually family members where I signed them up, just to get that free reset and stuff and to kind of kick over the edge. Because I have a lot of older clientele that I think they're truly interested in the product, but
Yeah.
they are not techie whatsoever.
Yes.
And there's no way, like, if I shared a link with them, like, there's no way. Like,
Yes.
it's too hard. So that's why I signed my daughters up, so then I could kind of get for them, at least maybe get them hooked enough where then they were willing to, go ahead and sign up. But
So
that's
some people, it's true. Some people you will just hop on the phone and you will sign up while you're like, what's your birth date? What's your address? Some people you will.
yeah.
Okay,
Because I
good.
felt
So
like there's kind of few that if I send them a link, they seem truly interested, and I struggle with that. It's like they approached me first, I give them all the info, and then they just kind of go cold. So then I don't want to like keep bugging them. But then I guess I'm one personally, like if I reach out, like I'm ready to pull the trigger.
Sure, exactly.
So I kind of think everybody else thinks that way too, when they don't.
Well, yes,
So-
that's true. So let's shift your assumption a little bit
Yeah.
because if you're thinking, well, I don't want to bug them, you're
Mhm.
going to come across like you feel like you're bugging them. And
Yeah.
most people, I'm like you, I'm a get her done kind of person. But
Yeah.
I like to just think of it as I want to make this person's life easier. I want to take this to do off their mind. And so
Mhm.
when I follow up with somebody who has said, I would like to get the free reset or I'd like to get started, I'll check in on them and say, Brittany, I'm so sorry I let a couple days go by. I know you're really ready to get started. How can I help you? Or you ready for me to walk you through it? And I'll just take that posture of like, I get to roll out the red carpet and make this one task on their list as easy as possible.
Mhm.
So that is helpful. Do you post?
Yeah. That I don't have a problem with that. I'll
No
post.
problem posting.
Yeah.
Are you cool with making a list of names of people you want to share with?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay, well then that's my homework. That's my homework for you because it sounds like you have a beef with copy paste messages. So,
Yeah.
but your task is like, okay, well, how am I going to share with these people in an authentic way? But I think it'll still help you to get some names written down and then
Mhm.
get your brain thinking about that. And then you can ask yourself, okay, well, how do I want to start this conversation in a way that's true to me and in a way that's authentic? And I think you'll immediately be like, oh, well, I'll just call them or, I'll just
Yeah.
leave a voice message and that'll start to come to you. But I think maybe just posturing the questions in a way that you're like, well, I know this can be done in a way that's true to me. So how can I do it? Instead of like, I don't know if I can do this because I see it looking like that over there and I
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah. And I think we've done just enough other network marketing stuff that then I feel like it's kind of, I don't know, you've kind of been left with a bad taste in your mouth from a few of those companies. So it's like, I don't want to like fall down that rabbit hole again.
Yes, yes.
So,
So you'll just say, okay, well, I know I don't want to fall down that rabbit hole again. So how can I do this and avoid that, rabbit hole?
mhm. Yeah.
And then your brain will be like, oh, here's one idea. So, but it can be done. It can totally be done. In fact, when I first started, I was like, I'm going to make it my mission. And so many of my early training videos for my team were about reaching out authentically. I was so anti scripts and
Mhm.
paste messages. And it was kind of like a fun game to me. Like, how can I start the conversation and get the wall down and get people to open up? Because I understood, oh, I'm not going for the sale on the invitation, like on the
Mhm.
when I'm knocking on the door, I'm just trying to like start this conversation. So I kind of made it my fun.
I guess I feel like then it's like, oh, you're only having that conversation as an ulterior motive. And that's
No, you
where
don't want to do that. You don't want to
Yeah.
do that. Like, no, I don't like the beating around the bush.
Mhm.
But so I would break the ice about Plexus, but with the expectation that I'm not going for the sale in this first conversation. So
Right.
I might start a conversation and say, hey, I'm really curious your thoughts about Plexus. I don't know if you've seen me posting at all, but I'm really
Mhm.
curious your thoughts. I'd love to share more with you. I would just like you to have the information before to know what you're saying yes or no to. And I
Right.
would invite people to events and say, I just want you to know what you're saying yes or no to. And so I would like free them up that you may say no, may not be
Mhm.
you, but
Right.
can we talk about it kind of thing. So I would go into that first conversation just with the expectation. I just want to crack the door.
Right.
So yeah. So
Because I'm for a lot of it, I'm just like, come on, like you would feel so much better. Like just try. But then I guess for some, it's like if it doesn't hit them within the first 2 weeks, if they aren't feeling like they can run a marathon, then they give up. And I'm like, oh no, you got to give it a little time to let it do its thing. So
totally. Yeah.
yeah.
You got to kind of, you've got to kind of guide their expectations.
Mhm.
Part of
Yeah.
my follow-ups when I'm caring for people is to send them a video from Jessica Hugendorn. And if y'all don't have the video, I'll pop it in the chat when Megan coaches the next person. but she talks about, it's a great analogy of a train and how if a train is barreling down a track with a lot of momentum, it takes a lot to just even slow it down and then to stop it and then to get it moving the other direction. And then she talks about ProBio 5, like if you want to add an engine to kind of move it even faster, you can up your dosage. It's a great video. So I always include that in like my second or third check-in. I used to just check in and be like, how's it going? What are you noticing? Now I have pre-written
Detailed stuff.
I just have pre-written check-ins and I tweak them, but I'm like, oh, it's, it's their second week. I'm going to send this video to kind of guide their expectations on the timing. So I will pop that in the chat here. Megan, if we have a little more time, I know April wanted to coach as well.
Okay.
She's on.
I actually forgot to mention, I was going to drop the Jessica, or I can bump it, the Jessica Heffley Fear video and Lori Harrison video. So girls, those two helped me so much. Like you have to have something in your earbud to just be offering you other thoughts, because our brain is not doing us any favors ever. And it just helped me so much in those early days. And sometimes we just need a little shot in the arm to have the right thoughts that to be thinking about, instead of like the overwhelming fears and the all the things that can pop up so naturally for us. Just to be thinking about, oh, I'm doing this for others versus what are they going to think about me? Because it becomes instead of a very self-focused thing, it can become an outward focused thing. Anyways, we can get those shared again into the chats for you guys. Okay. April, hey there.
No.
All right. Well, tell me what's on your brain. You've gotten all the things, all the ideas tonight.
Right. I'm like kind of going last is kind of a good thing, but then like what is there left for me to talk about kind of thing too. Honestly, like Darcy mentioned, we all got together as a collaborative, just a few of us that were local here. She just messaged me like, hey, I'm ready for another coffee date. And I said, well, what if I make it an event and we invite more of our team? So that's what we did, and we made it. And it kind of dawned on me last night that I'm really good at the coaching point. Like I can coach other people, I can help them work through their blocks. But when it comes to my turn, I'm like, I don't know what to do for me.
Okay. So do you have a block that you feel like is holding you back?
I think so. And I talk to, like I see people that notice my stuff, like two of my newest VIPs are management at work. They just saw my stories and my posts and they were both, hey, we used to do that. I need to get back on that. And they're just, simple, boom, sign me up, we're done kind of thing. But I know that I need to get out of my way and trying to figure out how to find the business builders, because to make it to senior silver, I think it would be easier to find at least a business builder.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a lot of where I'm stuck at now, is trying to find the new people, because I feel like I've run out of my audience.
Okay. What are you doing to find new people?
I am good at doing my posts. I've been doing better at alternating between the products and the business post.
Okay.
And then on our team, we have an elite leadership one, and one of the girls in my team, she asked, she kind of encouraged us, like put it out as a challenge to do a live daily. I did the lives for a while, and then I switched it to doing reels. So I just make a reel daily, about whatever comes to mind. So like I'm trying to get more engagement to draw people in, because I know the real life is going to draw in faster than the products or anything. So like yesterday when I got off work, I just did a reel after I got home about, okay, does anybody else have like a buddy part that tells them when the weather's coming, just to try to create more of a real life situation.
Okay. Well, that's awesome that like what you're good at. Like I would keep leaning in there, because if you're already good at that, keep doing that. Is there anything that you're avoiding or that you're not wanting to do, or you're kind of not doing?
Kind of like Darcy mentioned, that the messages, I am one that does not like to receive those cold messages myself. I tend to just ghost those myself. So I'm just like, I don't, when they're doing like, hey, let's do a whole message, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like going, yeah, that's not me. Because I don't feel like either it doesn't do anything, or I don't want, I mean, I know I'm not bugging people, but at the same time, I feel like it's bugging people.
Mm. Why would you feel like it might be bugging people?
I mean, I don't know how to explain it.
Do you think that they're gonna think something about you? Or do you think that they might perceive you as bugging them because they don't need it?
Maybe.
Because I think that I think that fear of bugging people stems from a lack of belief in what we're sharing. And it might not even, it may be a subconscious thing where your brain is like, oh, I'm gonna be bugging them if I send this. But you also know, like, these products can be life-changing for people. 7 out of 10 people struggle with gut health, have no idea what to do about it. 7 out of 10 people have considered having their own business, right? Somewhere along the line. So the statistics show us and tell us, like, we're not having to create the need, really. We're just the spokesperson for letting people know about this. And again, like I was mentioning, I think to Darcy, about we're just looking for an open door. And so it's like, are we willing to knock on all the doors and see if they're open to learning more? Not even that they're open to buy, just open to learning more. I don't know about you, but like, I love to educate people. Like, I love to educate and share about stuff, but then at the end of the day, like, we don't have control over their decision. Like, they have to make that decision. And so we're just the person with the message, hey, I have a message for you if you're open to hear it, And I think the mass messaging, I don't know. I guess that's one of those things where maybe there's so much love in our hearts that we have like this massive emotional attachment to the outcome, a massive emotional outcome or investment in like them as a person. And so like, we so want them to say yes. And so then the fear of someone saying no, like even the thought of the fear, like we're almost pre-feeling the rejection or oh my word, if they tell me no, like this is going to be like a devastation to my night. It's going to ruin my whole night. Like, and we go on this like big tangent. I don't know if that's resonating with anyone, but if I could just offer another perspective to all of us for a minute, and like, what if we didn't have such a highly emotional investment? Not that we don't care, but we don't have such an emotional investment in what they say. I know that sounds probably crazy, but it's something that I've learned that we've simply got to knock on a lot of doors. Like, I know that sounds probably crazy. Maybe for those of you who have had prior network marketing experience, that can maybe feel like, whoa, I don't want to do that. But I will just say, after I listened to Lori's video and Jessica Heffley's fear video, I was like, okay, this isn't actually about me. And if I'm making this about me, it's wrong. And it's so focused and it's self-centered. And so I realized, like, you know what? I'm just going to let everybody know about it. If they want it, fantastic. If they don't want it, that's fine too. I don't want to try to convince someone that doesn't want it. But at the same time, they may not even know that they need it. You can't imagine how many people you can probably imagine how many people you talk to, they think that pooping once a week is normal. Not normal, folks, not normal. You know what I mean? So, I don't know if that helps you at all, like to offer your brain something else, like another possibility. But, and it also goes back to like what you want. Like, are you wanting to help the one more person and just, this is very much like a side hobby that you're, just kind of dabbling in versus, you know what, I want to actually create a solid income stream and I'm willing to dig in and find the people that truly want my help. You know, because like depending on what you're wanting, I think for me, initially I was like, it made sense. I felt like I had cracked the code and all the moms need to know about it. Like I cracked the code between gut health and skin because my babies had eczema. And so I was just like, all the moms need to know about this. And even if they didn't all say yes, I at least wanted them to know so they can make an informed decision on how to help their family be healthier. Right. And so I think it just depends on like where you're wanting to take this. But if you're wanting to take it, you know, to gold or beyond, and you're wanting to impact at least 20 people in your life and help their health be healthier, or, you know, you mentioned finding a business builder, then we have to throw the net wider because only a small percentage are going to reply, and even a smaller percentage are going to say yeah. So it is somewhat of a numbers thing in terms of like, if I contact, you know, 25 people, or get a bigger number, I contact 100 people, you know, probably 10%-ish are going to reply back. Some of them are going to be like, no, thank you. And some of them are going to be like, yeah, tell me more, you know? And so I think if we know ahead of time, like a lot of people aren't going to reply, but there are going to be some that say, yeah. And that's what I'm going for. Like, because I'm trying to find the people that I want to help.
I
Does
also
that
feel like I'm
help?
in between that, you know, I'm a grandmother now, you know, so I'm kind of out of the mom phase, but then I'm also going through the whole perimenopause stuff. So I'm in between those life things of trying to figure out also who to talk to, if that makes sense. Like, I know I want to educate on the perimenopause and the gut health and things, but I'm like, who am I reaching out to? Like, I have people that have been I'm mom and I need to stay home because I can't afford daycare. So I've been trying to reach out to them some too, but I'm like, I feel like I'm lost in my niche again.
In your what?
My
Oh,
niche.
okay. Do you ever make like a list of people? Like, does it have to be a niche?
I mean, not really.
Because my thought is, well, you can have new, like, young moms on your team, and you can have grandmas on your team. It could be a wide demographic of people. It doesn't have to just be one particular type of person or one age demographic, you know? Because a team has, you know, when you're building a team, you think about like it's a huge celebration of gifts. So the younger people bring something to the table that the older people don't have, and the older people bring something to the table that the younger people don't have, you know? So my encouragement is usually to just like throw the net wide and I wouldn't like niche down too much, because like whoever will make up, right? Let me see if someone's chiming in the chat. Oh yeah, if you ever get a message you think is annoying, analyze what you don't like about it and craft your own reach outs differently. Yeah, I like to keep it really natural. And I think that's where voice messaging also can come in really authentic as well. Because like when you're voice messaging, like you're gonna have emotion, you're gonna reference how you know, something of how you know them, right? And then I like direct messaging, like this, I'm reaching out because of Plexus. I thought of you, whether it was for the product or the business. And then one thing that Brandy mentioned that was really I guess reassuring to her was that at the end I was like, hey, and if it's not for you, like that's totally fine. I remember exactly how I framed it. Sometimes I'll say, hey, you are not going to offend me. You're not going to hurt my feelings at all if this isn't for you, but I just thought of you today and I wanted to reach out and just see if you're open to a conversation. So sometimes, like Carissa said, in the beginning, she really did a lot of training her team on like what to say, how to say it. And those little sound clips helped me so much, because it's not that we're looking for scripts, but sometimes it's just helpful to hear how other people talk about it, or other people like ask the questions where it's not pressuring. It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't like Darcy was saying, we want people to feel honored that we thought of them. And so that's always been my goal when I've messaged people, is like, I want them, like, even if they're not interested, like that's totally fine. Actually appreciate knowing where they're at, but I want them to feel like, oh, I'm so glad you thought of me. Like, that's really sweet. Thank you for thinking of me. You know, so we want to leave people with those vibes, those feelings, you know. Is that helpful?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Wow, I felt like we covered a lot of ground here tonight, girls. So fun. Carissa, did you have anything else that you wanted to chime in? move it back to gallery.
No, I don't think so, but I agree. I like that I think we covered a ton. Everybody that got on was like, ooh, yeah, I wanted to talk about what we already talked about. Oh, but also this. So I was like, okay. And I hope that everybody realized like everything you're feeling is not unique to you, like not even unique to your season. This is the kind of stuff that we all face, but we're here to show you that it can be overcome and how we overcame it. And Megan, I loved your example just now of saying like, hey, you totally won't hurt my feelings, but I just thought of you and wanted to know if you're open to a conversation. Like that's so natural. It's amazing how weird it can feel and how weird it doesn't have to feel. So I think being together like this is really powerful because then we're like, oh, it can look like that. Amazing. And then you
Yeah.
go put it into action. That's the other thing. So let me say this. One of the number one impediments for the season you're in your business is thinking you need to keep knowing more and just keeping on gathering information. But you need to go put, like you've got a ton tonight. Now go do. Go put it into action immediately because the learning is in the doing in this business. This is not a go train. This is do and then course correct as you go. So I want to make sure.
Yeah, and practice. And that's something that has helped me to just know, like I'm practicing how I'm talking to people. I'm practicing my conversation skills. I'm learning more things. So like be patient and gentle with yourself too. Like if something didn't come off the way you meant for it to come off, or you didn't get the reply that you wanted, like, or whatever it is, like it's all a big fat learning curve, and that's a good thing. And there was a little quote I was going to share with you guys from another call we did today. Let me see if I can find it really fast. Healthy things grow and growing things change. And that I think that the powerful decision that we can powerfully decide is a huge piece. And so like Carissa said, the key is action. Action is the key. I'm teaching the kids this little song in Sunday school, but action is the key. Do it immediately. And that applies to our business because the immediacy of just trying it, try the new thing, try the messaging little example, or if you like something, a little sound bite that you heard tonight. Sometimes I'll just write down a little phrase that I'm like, oh, I love how she asked that. I was on a call a couple weeks ago and Jennifer Thomas said, in a customer care conversation example, she's like, walk me through your week. She was talking about like not having just yes, no questions, like where we're working on communicating in such a way that invokes more than just a yes, no response. So it's like you're chatting with your customer saying, hey, walk me through your week. Tell me a little bit more how things are going, where we're trying to like dig in with people to get them chatting, especially like when we're not in Elizabeth's opportunity where she's in person with people every day doing their hair. That's an awesome opportunity. But where a lot of us are at home doing this from home from our phones. So guys, thanks so much for popping on. This was a blast. I hope you guys gleaned a lot from it. And now it's action time. So we have these every single month. So just a reminder, we will do another one of these in March. So hopefully you guys will be able to come next month with new people on your team that are starting to share, and they can learn and glean from these calls. And this is the thing. It's like everything that you're learning is compounding. And so it's not just like one call is going to make or break or make the hugest difference in your business, but it's like as you continue to learn and grow, that's all going to stack on top of each other, So, okay. And then next week we're doing a call for golds, right? Okay. All righty. We will see you guys next month. And well, we do have another coaching at the end of this month with Madison. She's going to be doing a training call for people. So, okay. We will see you soon. We'll see you in the chats. Bye, guys.